Hey guys, I made a post about these the other day on Instagram and what I was doing with the algae green water that I was taking out of them, like that stuff right there. So I was using that as liquid fertilizer, but I got a lot of questions about the systems and what their purpose are, and figured with all the questions I'd shoot you guys a quick video. So this is a tank that we took offline. We're actually rehabbing it today and getting it back online. It's really dry here in Texas right now, and our pond is really low. So I just actually took the cast net and that bucket, and I went and cast netted about a dozen fish out of my pond, and put them in here in the bottom. So this is a 330 gallon IBC tote, and at a glance, it's easy to know if you're looking at a 220 or a 330 by how many bars. So from the, not including the base down here, there's 6 bars. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that top rail right there, and then 6. So this top is turned and flipped over. So before you put these in service, you're going to have to get one of these, and you're going to have to cut out the bars. Okay, and cut these bars out, but you're going to cut them out right here between the 5th and 6th bar. You're going to section out the cage, and you're going to section out that white plastic tank. You're going to have to remove that tank before you do it. You're going to cut about 7 or 8 inch strip out of that tank, and it's hard to get it perfectly right. You can see we have some variations in our cut here, but it's really not a hard system to build. It's quick, it's efficient, and for somebody who has a small amount of space in like a suburban backyard or something, this is a really good option for a food production system. One of the most common questions I get asked when I post about preparedness with relation to food, often I say, hey, it's good to have a good stockpile or a deep pantry and stuff like that, but it's better to have food production systems. So this is a way to have a food production system in a very confined space. So it's a 330 gallon food grade IBC tote. I've got about an 8 inch section taken out of it. Again, the top is flipped and turned 90 degrees. So the long side of the rectangle is actually crossing, and this bar right here, this top bar and all the vertical bars below it are actually bearing the weight of all the rock and everything in the system. So you can see that we have the pump running and cycling. We have the gravel pulled away from the drain port. That is the original cap that comes on it. All we do is we get a 2 inch piece of pipe and drill it like a machine gun barrel. Then we get a 2 inch NPT by slip-on coupler, and that just screws in right there. So the reason for the machine gun barrels, and you may actually want to put some holes in your coupling. When these holes get plugged, the level rises to this hole until it starts to drain. Putting them down here will allow the overall water level in the bed to be lower before it starts to drain in. One of the other things that I do when I have the machine gun barrel in place is I put this strainer over the top of it, and that's to help keep debris off of it. So the water will rise to the next cut in that strainer. If the bottom ones get clogged, it'll rise until it hits the level where it can drain in that strainer. The problem with these strainers is that they do get clogged, so you have to check on them, depending on how much debris is in your system and how often and what type of plants you're growing. You need to check on these strainers weekly, or at least every 2 weeks or so. I've gotten lazy in the past and just taken my strainer off and ran my systems like this, which isn't a problem, but the roots for your plants start to get in and start to wrap around and choke that pipe off. So the plants don't want to do work, and they'll look for the easiest path, or the path of least resistance, to feed themselves. And that's basically wrapping their roots around this machine gun barrel and just straining out the nutrients from the fish that are being pumped up by the pump. So again, this is 2 inch. The NPT on 2 inch fits that cap on top. And this is 4 inch, or you can use 6 inch. It doesn't matter. You can get the cheap thin wall stuff for doing drain piping. That would be totally fine. All this is a strainer to keep debris from clogging that pipe right there. So I use for my lift pipe or my stand pipe just a piece of garden hose, and then I actually run the 256 gallon per hour pumps from Harbor Freight, which you can see them there. They've got about a 6 or 8 foot head height. That's the height at which they can lift water before they just bottom out and don't lift anymore. The higher they lift, the less pressure they have and less flow rate they have. So as you can see, we got a pretty good flow going right now. I don't have a bell siphon on my tanks just because it's another component that can fail. If I want these to be ebb and flow beds, I just put the entire system on a timer. I will shoot a video because this video is getting to be pretty long already. I'll shoot a video of this, of the timer and how it works. It's a BN link intermittent timer, and I'll post a video on that. I actually have a couple of them. The other thing that you can see that we have is an LED bar. So we've got an LED bar that stretches over all 7 tanks, and it actually makes a couple of trips back and forth. The reason for that is in the summer and springtime right now, it attracts bugs. The bugs get tired of flying around the light and they fall in the water. So I actually just said that I just went and cast netted wild fish out of my pond and put them in here, and they go nuts for the bugs. We also throw like an ornamental koi food for them, because in some of the other tanks we have, you see a tank right there, it's got koi in it. But we have mixed types of fish in each tank. So these are wild fish out of our pond, but the pond, or the tank next to it has koi. So we throw some koi food in there just to supplement their diet and everything, and make sure that they're getting the vitamins and nutrients they need. But the LED bar is also a good hack to be able to feed your fish. So you can get one of these systems set up in a day. One of the other questions that I have a lot is what type of media. And so you can see that our media ranges from small stuff, if I can get the camera to focus. So we've got small, like 8 and 3/8 inch stuff, and then we've got stuff that's big like this. So this is a mixed crushed granite from a project that we had here on the farm, and we didn't just want to throw it on the ground, so we filled it up, filled one of the tanks up, one of the grow beds up with it. We have 3/8 and 5/8 pea gravel in some of the other beds. I haven't seen any performance difference or production difference in having a different type of gravel. It's really all up to you what you want to do. If you're going to be propagating plants or starting seeds, or starting from cuttings and rooting and like cloning plants, I found that the pea gravel is a little bit easier to be able to pluck your plants out without damaging the roots. Otherwise, we have had everything from mint to lavender to peppers to basil. At one time, we had 4 different types of basil growing in this one bed on this coarse media. So if you're buying gravel by the bag, by the 50-pound bag from your home improvement store, to fill one of these beds, you're looking at, depending on the size of your gravel, between 5 and 10 bags to fill this area right here. And then when you start plucking stuff out, and if you want it full all the way to the top, you may have to put in a few more bags of gravel or whatever. But wash your gravel before you're putting it in. Otherwise, it's going to put a lot of silt and contaminant in your system. That's going to have to settle out in your bottom tank. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to end this. We're just shy of 10 minutes. If you guys have any questions, either shoot us an email, info@ikcpodcast.com. Hit us up on Instagram @IKCpodcast or @Freedom and Farmsteading, or post a comment below in the video and we'll address it. I'll either address it in a new video or address it in an episode of the podcast. All right, guys. Happy homesteading. See y'all later. Texas Joe out.